My name is Matt, and if you don't know who I am, I'm obsessed with everything that is cars and motorsport. Whether it's got 2 wheels, 4 wheels, I'm always researching it, finding out, watching on YouTube. And if it's got an engine, I need to know what it's about because that's what fascinates me, and that is entirely my world. I've been fortunate enough to have quite a cool career. I've gone to some amazing places. I've traveled around the world. And I've met some incredible people, including some of my heroes. Some people I never even thought I would see. Watching them on TV to then standing next to them and seeing the car that they were going to drive, it's been unbelievable. And thanks to social media, I've been given this career that I'm so blessed to have. From the early 2000s to like 2010, I always had access to the internet randomly. So what I would do is I would go and search online for cars that I couldn't really watch because I never had satellite TV. So it would either be the highlights of the Formula One or rally, but there was one specific motorsport that always caught my attention, and it was always in Japan. I've always had a big fascination with Japan and something called drifting. So drifting is the art of losing control of a car, but being in full control. And Japan was kind of the pioneers of it. There was a guy named Keiichi Tsuchiya, and he was in his Toyota AE86, and he used to go and do Toge mountain runs, and he would drift this car that was inexpensive and light, and he would drift it in the mountains in the back. And it would be so fascinating because how can you take something that looks like it's out of control but stay in control? And there was even TV shows like Initial D that was made about, the rivalry between the Red Suns and this kid who had the 86, and he would deliver tofu and practice the car. It was just an obsession that grew because I wanted to know more about this. But even back home, we had something that was quite similar, and I knew that this would be something that would be part of when I was looking at the internet or when I was seeing it locally. I knew there was sort of a connection with it. So in South Africa, we have our own flavor of things, as we normally do, and there's something called spinning. Now, spinning is taking an old BMW, revving it off the bouncing limiter of that engine and making sure that this car just does wild stunts. And that was the key thing that, if you don't know what spinning is the main part of the story. The car spins in a circle and there's a stunt man, and he gets out the car and he kind of does all these crazy stunts while someone's inside there locking it on, and it's really crazy. And spinning has become such a unique part of South African culture. It's become worldwide. We have something called Shayi Moto where they've even crowned champions, and I've even gotten to know a really great spinner in South Africa who is now the best and world recognized, and his name is Sam, and he has just shown that you can take what you love and it can be recognized, and you can be a champion, and now you can make South Africa the #1 thing in terms of our own motorsport. So with my relationship with watching D1 GP to getting more involved into the drifting sport, I always thought to myself, I've gotten these crazy opportunities. I've followed Drift Masters and Formula D and all forms of drifting across the world. I now wanted to try and get my hands on doing something similar, and I've had the great privilege of knowing people who have become really great friends of mine, the Red Bull Drift Brothers, and they got me really close and plugged into drifting. And through our relationship, we always had conversations of, you're always around cars, and it's not really an expensive sport to get into if you do it the right way. Why don't you get yourself a car and practice and try? And every time we would meet and see each other at events, this is what they would tell me. Where's your car? When are you getting one? And I would always have some hesitation because it looks very, very tricky and complicated. But then one day I decided to take the plunge, and that's exactly what I did. I went and I got myself pretty much the start of a drift car. So through lots of planning and searching, I found myself the right sort of tool for the job, and I decided to take the plunge. I said, this is the year that I'm going to go do something absolutely crazy, and I'm going to stretch myself and test the best of my ability. I love making content and I like being a content creator, but I feel like the next step in my career is to do something that will take me as close to being an athlete as possible, because whether I like it or not, I've got to tick this off my list and I've got to try, because this is something I've always wanted to do since I was a kid. So everything fell into place and I found myself the perfect car. It was everything that I wanted. It was a bare bones car that was the perfect platform. And this platform of car is being used worldwide. In fact, there's been quite a big shift in using this brand of car for drifting, and it just so happened to be the perfect version of what I want. And that's what I'm going to start with, which is basically taking this car from zero to hero, and everybody's going to see exactly what we're going to do, which I think is the best part, because you don't want to see something that's complete. You want to see how we all do it. And this is the start of what I would say is the best journey that I'm about to begin. So there it is, my big secret that I've been keeping for a very long time. In fact, there's been less people than I can count on my hands that I've told about this, because it's a very scary thing for me. I think when you're deciding to go from content creator to professional athlete, even though you're going to start from the very beginning, it's a wild thing, because you go to these events, you get tickets, you get VIP. The people who do this know exactly what I'm talking about. You get to drive cars, you get to test them, but now you're going to be the person that one day people are going to watch and you're going to take for taxi rides, and that is huge. I know we have a long way to go and we have to start somewhere, but taking you guys with me to show you the bare car, something that is stripped out, there's no bodywork, there's obviously a few things done to it, but it's just to show the vision and where I want to be, and that's something I'm very excited to take you along with. This is new territory for me, because I'd also like to let myself know and everyone else watching know that I don't have much experience or skill in this, and this is something that I'm going to learn from day one. We're starting at zero. We want to get to the place where we become well known and we become skilled in what we do, because what's a challenge without a hill to climb? I don't think there's any reward if you're just going to wake up one day and decide to do it and you're good and you have everything. I think there's such a beauty in discovering more about yourself and what you're more capable of than learning through that process. And that's what I want to share with you guys, which is to be real and honest. I love cars, I get amazing opportunities and I get to do the most incredible things, but the only way I can challenge myself and hopefully inspires others out there to do something as crazy is to do this with as much passion and love, and take you guys through all the trials and tribulations, whether it's training, whether it's the hardships of getting sponsorships, the cost of running this start to finish, because we know building a car like this takes skill and it takes incredible amounts of money, and not everything is perfect. Sometimes a workshop's going to get it wrong and we're going to be set back because there's an error on the car, there's going to be rust, there's going to be something that's not fitted correctly. And I think to show an honest journey of where we're going with this also helps not only me but someone out there watching, that this is not an easy process. And once we see those guys at the top level, and there are many guys out there who inspire me, like Adam LZ, he was a BMXer who turned himself into automotive content. He got all the cool cars, and then he said to himself, you know what, he's self-funded, he's going to pour all his time and resource into it, and he's going to become an athlete. And that's what he did. He got the cars, he put in the wrench time, and he worked to becoming where he was. Guys like him and the Chelsea Denofas out there, and Vaughan Gittin Jr., and some of the other guys like Connor Shanahan, they've been people who've been cutting it from day one, and they've inspired me, and that's why I've been on this journey. I see the content creators out there and I'm like, if they can do it, surely I can. And I know we're in South Africa and it's going to take a very long time, but I want to prove not only to myself, but I want to prove to other people out there that if you put your mind to it, you can make it happen, and you can follow your dreams and leave a legacy for people to enjoy. So where do we begin with this project? Well, obviously this is a BMW. I've loved the chassis. It's always been in my blood. You guys have seen that I've got a BMW of my own, so naturally this would be the car, and it just so happens to be one of the most popular chassis in the game right now, so it was natural for this to happen. But for something like this, we had to choose the right car. So we went for E46 Coupe, 2-door. It's light, it works, it's got all the elements that you need for a perfect car. And I was lucky enough to get a bare bones stripped car with a roll cage. So from here, we need to tackle what this car is and where we are. We need to look at stuff like rust. We need to obviously lighten the car to take it from sedan, everyday driving mode to full-on race car. So we got to strengthen it. We got to look at paint, and we're going to make some adjustments to the roll cage because we want to make this to spec, because I don't want this to be a chilled, backyard drift car. I want this to be a competition spec car that I'm so proud of. I can ship it anywhere in the world and I can go and compete with this very car. But this isn't just about the car that you see behind me. It's also about what I have to do to put in the work to get to that level. I have to challenge myself in my fitness, in my mentality, in my eating, because when you want to be the best, you also have to be the best at any other level. So I have to make sure that my fitness is at its best, I'm eating right, my head's in the game, so that when I do it properly. But also when I look back at it, and even if I look at any challenges or failures, I know that I put in all the amounts of efforts I can do, and I can retrace my steps and work on the things that I wasn't good at, because I know if I try hard enough, I'm going to get good at it. The real challenge in this is becoming an athlete, because that's an area that I need to work towards. It's something that is going to be a huge challenge because, as we know, being an athlete and being someone at the top of their game is not an easy task. So I'm going to be able to get my hands dirty. I'm going to put in the hours. I'm putting in the work. I'm leaning into the community. I'm asking all the right questions. And the best part about this is that as I learn, I get to take you into this journey so that when someone else in the community or someone else out there reaches out to do this, I'm able to point them in the right direction, because at the end of the day, we want to grow this space. I don't want to be the only one who's going to be able to do this. It's amazing and the opportunities are endless, but if I can grow the community along with me, I think that's going to be something that'll be key along my journey. I'm really looking forward to doing this with you guys, because we've been part of this journey as content creator, as we now work on to professional athlete. It's incredibly scary, and this is wild. Just looking back and seeing what's behind me is incredible to know that this is what I want to do. But I know that I'm meant to do this, and I'm happy to take you guys along. Whether it's good or bad, I can't wait to share it with you, and I hope you guys are excited as much as I am, because what we're about to do and achieve is probably something no other content creator has ever done. So be sure to check out my social media, because this is going to be an incredible experience, not just for you, but for me as I journey and take on things I've never tried before. But most importantly, I'm excited to take you guys along for the ride. So until the next episode, I'll see you then.